Okay, sorry, people. For some reason, the camera ran out. I don't know why. But case in point, to be perfectly honest, the reason that the second Expendables movie made less than the first one is based purely on the God's honest truth that neither Expendables movie is actually that good. We all know this. All of us who are real action fans and who grew up in the Reagan era and all that, we were hungry for a real action picture because it had been a while since we had seen a really tough action picture. And to be honest, the first Expendables, Sly went out. You know what? I'm not gonna knock the first one too much because Sly went out on his own. He did his own thing. He was a trooper. He really kicked his own butt to get that movie made. So it's a very incoherent film. There's a lot of things that don't make sense. There's a lot of parts of the film where it kind of meanders and it goes off in directions it shouldn't. And there's a completely ridiculous subplot with Jason Statham trying to, stick up for his girlfriend or whatever she is and beat up her new boyfriend. I mean, just dumb, irrelevant stuff. And there's a lot of problems with the Jet Li versus Dolph Lundgren fight and the shaky cam and all that stuff. But the fact of the matter is that the first Expendables is a really bad movie. But I understand Sly, he put all his heart into it. He did the best he could. And there's 3 sequences in that movie that save it. It's the fact that in the first Expendables, you've got the fighter plane sequence with Jason Statham on the nose. Exciting sequence. They blow up the dock. That's pitch perfect. And then the scene at the end of the film where it's just a Royal Rumble in the tunnel and Stone Cold is fighting Sly and Jason Statham and Jet Li are fighting Gary Daniels, who did a lot of B pictures on HBO and Showtime and Cinemax back in the day. That's an exciting sequence. Although cut very quickly, it's a very good sequence. And those 2 sequences are what saved that movie. Because the Dolph Lundgren versus Jet Li fight is terribly filmed and terribly edited. It was a waste of a great opportunity. The car chase was just kind of ho-hum. It wasn't that great. And the intro on where they take the Somalian pirates or whatever, it's an okay sequence, but it wasn't that great. So really, those 2 action sequences I mentioned is what saved that original Expendables movie. Now we move on to number 2. The problem with number 2 is that number 2 is just an okay movie. And that's just speaking real for what it is. It's more neatly produced. The shots are cleaner. It's not as rough as the first one. And there's a lot more silliness. But part of the problems with the second one is that, number 1, again, the movie meanders. The first and the Expendables 1 and Expendables 2 are not action-packed, adrenaline-rushing thrill rides, which is what a movie like Total Recall and Terminator 2 or Face Off or Die Hard 1, 2, and Die Hard with a Vengeance. Those films are action-packed adrenaline rushes where when the action is happening on screen, you literally physically feel excited. Like you just, those are action pictures where when they're over, you feel like you could just walk out on the street and beat up like 10 dudes. And unfortunately, like I said, in the first Expendable, there's only one scene. That's the Royal Rumble where you get pumped physically. You feel your blood rushing because it's exciting. And the Expendables 2, honestly, only had one sequence in that film that got me pumped. And that was when Jason Statham was beating up the dudes in the church. When Jason Statham was beating up them dudes in the church, I was pumped. I was in the theater. I was going, yeah, it was an adrenaline rush. And Expendables 2 has it has a good opening action sequence. And then the movie meanders. We bring in this kid, what's his name? Liam Hemsworth. And you bring in this girl, Maggie Q. We don't care about them. Sliding producers, they're forcing them upon the fans. We just want to see Dolph and all you guys kicking ass. And you force these two actors on us that nobody asked for and nobody wanted. Just give us what we want. The guys that we grew up with kicking ass and taking no names. And it's really that simple. And it's the fact that you guys add all this extra stuff that's just not needed. I mean, you're making a simple thing more complicated than it needs to be. You know? And, thankfully Van Damme comes in, and Van Damme has grown into a very strong actor, and he just chews the scenery with what little he has. But then after Van Damme kills the kid, again, the movie meanders. It's slow. Dolph is talking about whale ass, and he's trying to hit on the Asian girl, and